Good evening, folks. Brian here at Geomagnetic Earthwatch, Saturday, July 5, 2025. It's very late, but I want to get this done. Very tired, so I'm going to make some slip-ups on my speaking and tongue tripping, maybe. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, there comes responsibility with information, people, and how it is conveyed. But there's also a responsibility in conveying Scripture. I'm not just talking about the book of Mark in proclaiming the gospel, but there's lots of other references that we should be aware of that gives us forewarnings of what's coming. There's others, of course. There's by words and symbols inscribed in the tablets of Sumerian clay, to today's written and spoken Earth's watchmen, by the words of oral traditions of Hopi prophecy to the current times of the creation of songs. No matter how much others try to deny and conceal, the truth will once again reveal itself as Earth's scars are about to be torn open again, revealing the past, the last 3,600-year catastrophe cycle. Now, you're going to have to sort through yourself all this information and decide to yourself, use your own discernment and beliefs. Do your own research and homework. You're not doing it for me, okay? You're going to do it for yourselves. And don't fall into the snare of deceptions, because a lot of that is happening right now. People are being conditioned not only by the mainstream media and the government, a lot of YouTubers as well, a lot. And false narratives and teachings to divert away from the fact that Earth undergoes a catastrophic cycle every 3,600 years, give or take, as I have shown you. But I get the distinct impression and feeling that there's a few people out there in YouTube land who may be swayed or paid off by the government to deflect away from that and to push a counter narrative. Aside from the obvious spooks put in place, but other people as well. I was watching one guy, I don't know who his name is, I don't know who he is, what he does. He sounds a little bit gay. And, I don't know, him and his mistress, what was his name? Sapphire? Emerald? Diamond? Anyway, it doesn't matter. People who don't believe in the binary system, the destroyer, Nibiru, or whatever you want to call it, they're going to pick the weakest person to try and prove their point. And I listened to these two. And they went after, the only thing they can come up with was this Nancy leader or whoever this woman is who proclaims to be an emissary from the Zeta talk. That's all they can come up with. So they brought this information up on Wikipedia. And they say, look, we've proved it. Nibiru doesn't exist because of this lady. Because they don't have the balls and the guts to go after the credible people who have dedicated their lives on the subject matter. Whether you're talking about Carlos Ferrada and his language, Herculebus, 59 years, or other reputable researchers like John Moore and other people. No, they're not going to go after these people because they're pathetic and they're weak. And so look, listen. What did I say in the beginning of this video? Tired? Well, take it from a tired, grumpy, old, dusty bag of bones, aging man who not long ago was laying in his bed on his smartphone, and he thought to himself, well, if somebody were to say to you, every 3,600 years, the system comes in, and you think, well, duh, okay, so what would be the implications? What would be the gravitational electromagnetic? I've known this for a long time, but you have to ask yourself, what would be the gravitational electromagnetic influence on the planet? Well, gee, there would be some pretty serious issues, right? The electromagnetic connection to the outer core expansion, volcanoes going off, heat, fires, earthquakes, you know the story, okay? So from my phone, laying in bed, tired, exhausted, I just did some research and I kept on adding 3,600 years. I went back 29,000 years, and every single 3,600 year period, major catastrophic changes on our planet. Almost all of them involved major volcanic eruptions resulting in sudden climate shifts, drops in temperatures. Some of them also had asteroid impacts, and a few of them had big, massive explosions from the sun, more powerful than the Carrington event. They're called Miyake events. Why? I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, and then I carried on my study and research, you know, when I was awake and refreshed and all that, and still grumpy. And a lot of this is taken from ice core data, as well as tree ring samples and carbon samples and so on. Now, there's a 5% error in the timing. Okay. But I've shown you in my videos. So, I believe one researcher put the last passing of the system at 3,654 years. So, curious. So, the last 3,600 year period, there were at least 4 major volcanic eruptions. Thera, now called Santorini. Vesuvius, known by a previous name, Mount St. Helens. And one in Anekchuk in Alaska, all within a short period of time, around 1627, 1628 BC. Oh, wow, gee, let's add 1627 and 2025. That comes up to 3,652 or 53 years. Wow, not bad, eh? And I just kept on going back. The one before then, kept on adding 3,600. You can add on between 3,600 and 3,650 average. Keikea super eruption, the caldera, southern Japan, just right next to where that earthquake swarm is, and the massive discharge of SO2, sulfur dioxide coming from somewhere. And so, before the visual manifestations of the destroyer, we are going to experience the effects before then. And I keep on repeating myself. The book of Luke, chapter 21, verses 25 and 26. Nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and the tossing of the seas and the changing tides. Then it continues in the following verse. Men's hearts will be failing them for fear, for looking after that which is coming upon the earth, for the powers of the heaven will be shaken. I'm going to stop for a minute. Don't go away. Now, there's lots of people coming on board every day. The average is about 500 people every day. Followers. Wow. So new followers. This was my daughter's globe that I butchered with some screws and nails. So the white flags is where magnetic north used to be in Nunavut, Canada, till around 1903, 1904. Then it started its beeline excursion away. It's already passed over Santa Claus North Pole, and it's heading into Siberia. Red flag. Magnetic south used to be Antarctica. It is now in the ocean between Antarctica and Australia. This is based on 2019, end of 2018, 2019. So this is further. But this is moving a lot slower. Something is stopping it from going any faster. Now, so our two poles are working towards each other. The convergence point is going to be the Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean. The exact location doesn't matter. Right here. If it continues on track, okay. So the two ends of the magnet are working closer to each other. In order to have a 100% full protection field strength, the magnetic poles need to be more or less antipodal, directly opposite to each other. But they're not, because they're on an excursion. This destabilizes the magnetic field. This means the distance is increasing on the other side between the two magnets. And what's on the other side? Us. Let me show you another example. Earth's magnetic field is generated from within the outer core of our planet. It is like a bar magnet. The magnetic field lines leave the south polar region, south polar cusp, envelop and circle the planet and re-emerge through the north magnetic cusp. As long as the two ends of the poles, the magnet, are more or less antipodal, directly opposite to each other, we will have 100% strong, organized, neat magnetic field lines. However, as I've just shown you on the globe, they are no longer antipodal. So let's just say this was Nunavut, Canada, and Siberia is up here. This was Antarctica, and the ocean in between Antarctica and Australia is right here. So they are converging towards each other. I'll show you another example. So in this example, magnetic north is racing towards Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean, as is magnetic south. They're working towards each other. This increases the distance on the other side of the planet, further destabilizing the magnetic field lines. Tight and neat, strong strength. Destabilized, weak on the opposite side of the planet. So once again, magnetic north is this general area. It's heading down this way. Magnetic south is right here and is heading this way. Convergence point is around here. Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean. You notice our jet streams? Now we'll go to the opposite side of the planet where the magnetic field is weaker. Now look at these jet streams. Now I'm going to take it back just day by day, a couple of days. You can see how much it's changing. Chaotic, disorganized. So this is the opposite end of the two ends of the bar magnet. So the reason why I wanted to show you that is that there's another YouTuber out there so we're talking about the Texas floods, unfortunately. with the loss of life, including the children. He seems to be pushing the narrative that this was geoengineering. Now, yes, I know it's been around for a long time. It's been around since the Second World War. I get the gut feeling, the impression that some of these people are being diverted, steered away from the truth, maybe paid off, to not mention the fact that the Earth is undergoing a geomagnetic excursion and our protective magnetic field is destabilizing, which really affects the jet streams. Because on the opposite side of that weak area is the increased cosmic radiation coming in, which has effect of our jet streams. Take the information. You can either put it in your back pocket and research it or leave it on the table. As for the scriptural connection to everything that's going on. So you can see now the escalation in global tensions. All the rumors and preparations for the wars and the earth changes accelerating all aligns with Scripture and the arrival of the destroyer or the binary system on the 3,600-year cycle. This cannot be disputed. You can't erase Earth's history, the past. You cannot erase the knowledge. It's too late for the government to change the narrative to the truth. But they cannot change what Jesus has foretold his apostles sitting underneath the olive tree. Nor of John, who was exiled on the island of Patmos. So these two are two separate events, but they conjoin. First is the beginnings of the sorrows, which leads up to the Great Tribulation. The beginnings of the sorrows is not God's wrath and judgment upon the world. It's got nothing to do with it. It's the early warning signs that Jesus foretells his apostles and to be passed on to us. Then, excuse me, comes in John on the island of Patmos, who wrote the book of Revelation. So the beginnings of the sorrows, you should all know this by now, which is the wars and the rumors of wars and the kingdoms rising against kingdoms and nations against nations. And at the same time, there's going to be the great earthquakes in one place after another and another and another in diverse places. So too, the pestilence and the famines. As I said in my garden tour, famines is not just food, but a famine, a spiritual famine. And pestilence is just not by Bill Gates, it's also by him, pestilence. But in the beginnings, has nothing to do with the Great Tribulation. To be clear. You see, God's wrath and judgments will be upon those who reject him and take the mark of the beast and worship an idol made of him, of the beast. Which is going to be very easy for most of the world's population, because during the beginnings of the sorrows is all the wars and the great earthquakes and natural disasters and the pestilence and the famines and great people. Many people are going to die. The rest will go through great desolation and suffering and despair, begging for someone to save them. Then he rises from the sea and seen as a person of saviorship, yet falsely. So I'll save you, I'll feed you, I'll put a roof over your head, but you must worship me and my beast. Then comes his wrath and judgment. It kind of leads me to thinking, because when we're talking about Revelation, what is it, 6? And power will be given to him to take away 1/4 of the life of the earth. Power will be given to him. him doesn't happen until the second half. So the question arises, well, during the sorrows, through all the wars and the earthquakes and natural disasters and the famines, how many people are going to die? Because at first, when you think about, well, power will be given to him to take 1/4 of the way of the people by death. Well, there's 8 billion people, that would be 2 billion people. But no, that's not true, because how many people are going to die before then through the earth pangs? How much great loss of life. Now, later on, Revelation 9, another 1/3 will die. But this is all after the birth pangs, which are beginning to happen now. Is it getting intense? Is it getting intense? Okay, I got to do this in segments because, like I said, I'm lost on my data, so I'm not sure I'm going to get this in the right order when I start splicing everything together. Another visualization for you. So this compass is planet Earth. Inside the outer core is like a bar magnet. It's where our geomagnetic field is generated from. Keyword magnet. The incoming system, brown dwarf, binary system, destroyer, by whatever name that you feel comfortable with, is a larger magnet. It is understood that the system comes in from the bottom. And when it gets close enough, it's going to do something to our magnetic field. It's going to flip it, or at the very least, cause an excursion such as we're on right now. See? It's getting close. As this gets closer, it's going to make the electromagnetic connection on the outer core. It's going to cause the poles magnetic poles to go on an excursion. It's also going to have the gravitational influence, pull, earth wobble, oceans sloshing back and forth, putting nations into anguish and perplexity, the roaring and the tossing of the seas and the changing tides. One more thing. Everybody's talking about the magnetic north excursion. Nobody talks about magnetic south. Magnetic north is moving a lot faster than magnetic south. No one's asking why. I'll give you a suggestion. Something is preventing magnetic south from going any faster. Magnetic south. Magnetic north pole. It's trying to keep it in place until it gets too close. That's why magnetic south is moving at a much slower pace, because something is trying to keep it in place. Perhaps until it gets too close. The destroyer. Like I said, people, it's not a fear. It's of an awakening and a collective work that we have to do to try and bring this awareness without being shut up. My thanks to Patrick for his song videos, a unique talent and style and cryptic, creative messaging. He's just another messenger, another watchman. And let's really pay attention to what's happening. Now, 3 of the 4 areas that erupted last time, 3,652 or 53 years ago, are all showing signs again. That does not eliminate any other areas on the planet. Anyway, folks, in a closing comment, as I'm scrolling down through the internet news, these two news articles were side by side. One depicts the Western world, clean, wealthy, alive, full of riches. Then on the other side of the world, nearly 100 Palestinians killed overnight, including dozens waiting for aid. It's the state of the world right now, and where we're headed.